The problems along the offensive line have forced Rowe and the Cougars to get creative. Not only creative, but secretive. In fact, when the offense comes out, the cameras go off. Year after year, the Marathon Classic is the biggest party of the summer here in Toledo. But with no fans, the celebration is, well, let's just say tamer than in years past. Nowhere is that more apparent than at the bar, where the booze goes largely untouched. Ow. Toledo Christian woke up early this morning and drove themselves an hour and a half across state lines to Harlan, Indiana for their first game of the season. Those are just some of the things you have to do sometimes in 8-man football. The ride, though, was well worth it, as Toledo Christian dominated the Kings Crusaders 44-0. Well, for this edition of Glass City Golf, boy, do we have a treat. We're out here at the legendary Inverness Club, the host of next week's LPGA Drive-On Championship. And joining me to discuss the tournament and all things Inverness is the head golf professional here at Inverness, AJ Sekula. AJ, thanks so much for joining us. 6 years ago, Coach Kelly hugged his seniors while walking up this very tunnel after knocking off USC to complete an undefeated season. Saturday night, he got to do it again. As last year's national championship banner falls from the rafters here at Amalie Arena, so too do the Irish Dreams for back-to-back titles. Down by as many as 17, Notre Dame came all the way back, only to lose by a single point, 82-81 to Baylor. After the game, the Irish locker room was a mix of sadness, disappointment, and shock.
That's how you do it!
Let's face it, during this pandemic, we've all had a little too much time on our hands. Some of us have binged every show on Netflix. Carol Baskins did it, by the way. Others tackled their reading list. Others still turns to video games. That's what popular podcast host Dan Katz, better known as Big Cat, did when he pressed play on an old version of NCAA Football 14 and introduced the world to Coach Doug's. With the sports world shut down, Katz created Gus Duggerton in the video game's Dynasty mode, and due to his love for action, started his coaching career as the offensive coordinator for Toledo. Since then, the coaching carousel has taken Doug's to Florida State, USC, Texas Tech, and Tennessee, where he led the Vols to a national championship. After winning the title, Doug's once again had a slew of offers.
Alabama has offered me a contract!
Including the likes of Alabama and Oregon. But like LeBron returning to Cleveland, Coach Doug's knew it was time to come home.
I'm going backwards started, Matt, baby. I'm going backwards started.
As head coach of the Rockets, Doug's has led his team to the best season in UT history, finishing the regular season a perfect 12-0, including statement wins over USC, Florida, Notre Dame, and Tennessee, and earning the #1 ranking in the country. Toledo knocked off crosstown rival Bowling Green to win the MAC championship, and now they face Texas for the national title. Okay, that's all fun and everything, but it's just a video game. Why would anyone care? Well, it turns out this game has real-life impact. Katz streams all of these games live on Twitch and has grown his audience to well over 100,000 people for each game. The real University of Toledo is in on it too. The Toledo Athletics social media page has been filled with Doug's-related content, and they're even selling Coach Doug's t-shirts.
For the university, it's massive, right? Like, not only just for the university as a whole, seeing Toledo Rockets, University of Toledo, in the streams of 150,000 people watching, and a Twitter population of over 1 million people. Like, it's also big for recruiting for our football team here. Like, we tweet all these things out on our Toledo Rockets football account, and that's going out to millions of people. Like, that's big for recruits and big for our team to get seen like that. Or even though it's just some like graphics or funny graphics related to Coach Doug's, we can still put out other content about our team right now, and it's like that gets seen by all these people, or our increase of followers right now, like that's gonna help in the future. So this stuff has been really huge for our athletic department.
Yes, burger time!
The whole town is getting in on the fun. For every 50 burger Doug's and the virtual Rockets put up on their opponents, the Blarney Irish Pub in downtown Toledo will give customers 50% off their own burger.
It just seems like it's crazy. I mean, people that are right behind me, they're asking me if, I'm on camera because of what's going on with the 50 burger. 45 minutes after that first tweet, after he hung that 50 burger yesterday, we had 4 people come in and redeem it. So yeah, it's working, and we got a handful of people behind me right now for lunch that are using it.
That's not all. Should Doug's do the impossible and lead UT to a national championship, Mayor Wade Kapsakavich will present a real key to the city to Katz.
It's hard to find something bad to say about this. It's just a welcome diversion in what has been a tough year in our country, and I think they're going to pull it off. I mean, with every passing game, it becomes clearer and clearer that he's got a real shot at this.
On the verge of the greatest season in Toledo football history, virtual or otherwise, Doug's has the whole city behind him as he chases immortality.
This moment can be added to the Mount Rushmore of Toledo's sporting achievement. Provided they get the job done, we'll be rooting for you. And nothing would make me happier than bestowing a key to the city on Coach Stubbs sometime in the near future.
Amy Taylor is a mom of 5 and one of 10 siblings. She's an avid runner and has been competing for the last 8 years. She's run the Glass City Marathon before, but when she heard it was going virtual, she figured she would skip it. Until she realized her mom's nursing home just happened to be exactly 26.2 miles away from her house. Taylor's mom, who recently celebrated her 86th birthday, suffered a stroke in January and battled the neurovirus in March. With her health issues, keeping her in a nursing home became necessary, but with the state shutdown, it also meant Amy couldn't be with her mom for the foreseeable future.
We felt, honestly, as if we were in a race against time, because the nursing homes, of course, kind of had a heads up that this might be, going to take place. My mom has been very dependent on her 10 children all of her life. And I guess when you tell other people, so it was rough learning that she'd be on her own.
Instead, they relied on window visits, and on Easter Sunday, Amy had a special surprise.
I told her, we weren't doing an Easter egg hunt, but she should just kind of watch for me at the window. And so I live way out in the country, and it was some highways, and I was kind of nervous about running that distance with just no assurance, but my kids met me at the halfway point, and when I got to her window and she was there just beaming and like, woohoo, and you did it, and she couldn't believe I fell down, and my son kind of had made this little pink sign that just said, you can do it, and it hit me when I got to her window that is truly what we're saying to her, because every day is just encouraging, and it's not just her. You meet lots of people who are experiencing the exact same thing, and so it's like, yeah, we can all do this if we just stick together.
That first run inspired Amy to do the virtual Glass City Marathon, and 2 weeks later, she charted the same course with her mom waiting at the finish line.
I think as other runners kind of understand what the finish line means to you, a lot of other people just think, well, you're probably glad because you're done, but there's another sense of like accomplishment, and running becomes like a gift that you can give to someone. And I actually use it a lot of times for prayer, reflection, and so I think she was my inspiration.
Amy admits she hasn't been happy with how she's finished some of her recent races, but for this one, the time on the stopwatch meant nothing compared to the time she gets to spend with her mom.
I expect myself to perform, and so I've disappointed myself a couple times in races, but this year, this was totally different for me. It was a moment in time where I was able to stop myself and say, this truly had nothing to do with me and running. It had to do with how you can use inspiration and strength when there's nothing else. You can't control the situation that we're in, and so it just allows you to dig deep and discover why you do what you do, what makes you tick. And she makes me tick.
Alex Wilcox, BCSN.